Emily and Annie here with week 4, talking about awareness or vidya. This week is about accepting your discoveries and lifting the veil. So in our Samaskaras and in the work that we've been doing, we've been discussing slowing down to really pay attention and observe what's happening with your habits, with your patterns, with your experience day to day. And this week is really about taking that information that you've observed and allowing yourself some time to reflect and accept some of the things that you've discovered. This is about letting go of some of our mindless habits and connecting a little bit deeper with our intuition.
Right, so if we kind of reflect back on the past couple of weeks, we've been in tapas, the heat, the intensity, building that discipline to come through and sit with letting things slow down and starting to see things more clearly. That happened, last week with Shani. And now that we've got that kind of open space through which to work, within that clarity, our discoveries, or sometimes we refer to them as gifts, start to really present themselves. I think what we've really been doing is building a comfort level to now see these clearly. So we want to think of these gifts as discoveries as well, because sometimes they may not seem traditionally positive, but they are part of us, and we want to accept all things equally because they're important. It's knowing our habits, knowing how these discoveries, these gifts play into those samskara, and how we can take them and either build onto them, choose wisely, intuitively, how to use them as we move forward, or perhaps leave some behind slowly, or maybe we're able to leave some behind because we really recognize quickly how those are not serving us anymore. So there's kind of a lot of levels happening here as we lift the veil, quote unquote. We kind of illuminate what has been happening over the past 2 weeks and really start to accept it, and kind of readdress maybe our perspective. We kind of look at how we've been looking at things. So we are going to go back to the circle of life this week.
Yeah.
Remind them what that looks like in case you've tucked it away and not wanted to look at it. So we'll go back to talking about our primary foods and our that nourish us, that fulfill us, those areas of our life. And as you look at that, you'll probably be reminded of your intention that you set at the beginning of this process. But we don't necessarily want you to focus that much on that, because as you look at that, your perspective on what you are getting out of this process may have changed. And so we don't want you to feel like you have to go back and reset an intention or go back and examine where you veered to. We just want you to be in the moment and sit with what you're discovering right now, as this perspective has evolved over the past few weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, part of our, we set this intention and we sort of laid the foundation for this work, but what this week really gives us is a focus and an opportunity to say, I may have set this intention, but that doesn't really seem to be what is the real truth or my real process right now. So it may have shifted a little bit, and that's okay. This week we get to kind of accept that and where you are in this process. And it's not just blind acceptance. Let yourself consider some of the changes. Like Annie said, some of what you may be discovering about yourself can feel kind of like a negative, some can feel kind of positive. We're going to stay in that space where we're not placing value or judgment on anything. We're allowing ourselves some time to embrace what's happening, and then kind of figure out how we're going to use that moving forward. So in your notes we give the example of setting the intention and going through our tapas is like a big house fire, and week 3, what you guys have just finished, is where we everything kind of burns down and we're standing there just going, oh my gosh, this just happened. We're observing, we're feeling. Well, week 4 is kind of like we're walking through the rubble and we're picking up things that are left after that big burning, after that big fire, and we're trying to decipher, okay, I've observed that I'm very stubborn in this situation, or I've observed that I'm a little bit too passive in this situation. How am I going to carry this knowledge with me moving forward? It's not about labeling yourself. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge so that you can make mindful and intuitive choices going forward.
Right. It's that continuation of self-study, of knowing yourself deeply enough that you can use your intuition to know when to use these discoveries and these traits and how to use them comfortably and naturally in your life. And so, like Emily said, this is where we are kind of surveying and starting a more active process of implementing what we've learned by really looking at these gifts and these discoveries without judgment, but with knowing they're a part of us, with accepting them fully. And it helps to build another layer of trust and confidence in ourselves to move through our past samskara that we want to, and to start that path, that new path.
And just remember, these don't have to be huge, earth-shattering revelations. You know, what your discovery may be is that traffic makes you tense. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, every time my sibling calls, I get completely panicked and frustrated. You know, it doesn't have to be these huge lifestyle revelations. It can be something very, very simple. There's a lot of value in all of this knowledge that's coming to you right now.
Right. And in the physical practice, you'll see we use the breath a lot to kind of mimic these moments of revelation. So you can read about it in your materials we gave you last week, and we are excited to see what you come back with next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.